the possibilities of Tantra Yoga and the dangers of practicing it. As I said before, to achieve ultimate liberation you need to achieve perfection in the 7 yogas. It is very difficult to do, and it requires more than 1,000 rebirths. In order to go through all the processes at once, Tantra Yoga was invented. Of course, Tantra Yoga is a tremendous load because you have to open the energy channels Ida, Pingala and Sushumna in the human body, and you have to lift the energy all at once. A small mistake here can be fatal. However, although Tantra Yoga is exceptionally difficult, it offers the only chance to immediately attain true liberation and ultimate liberation attained on the final step, if all goes well. This practice is practiced in Tibetan Buddhist schools such as Nyingma and Kagyu. I permit this practice only for those chosen people who can endure the practice of Tantra, because of the excessive stresses and dangers involved in this path that I have mentioned. Many lay believers have been practicing Tantra without permission and have entered a strange state. Don't be like them, please. In the different yogas, the loss of energy leads to different states. Today I will tell you about the second step, Kundalini Yoga, which can take 1,000 lifetimes to reach. Kundalini Yoga is based on life energy. Here I would like you to remember Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga has one disadvantage. For example, if one does Shaktipat and wastes energy and doesn't do enough spiritual practice, then one's will, the basis of Raja Yoga, can be broken. And if he loses his will, he will become an ordinary person. And so he will be forced to take up spiritual practice from the beginning. That is not the case with Kundalini Yoga. Suppose one who has attained Kundalini Yoga has spent energy on Shaktipat and Shakti Prayoga. In many cases he may be motivated to commit suicide. However, since he has come to attainment through Kundalini Yoga, he will naturally recover and return to his former state after some time. This is the strength of Kundalini Yoga. With Raja Yoga there is a possibility of losing the attainment, but with Kundalini Yoga, even if you leave it as it is and just wait a while, you can return to your previous state. Or you can regain your previous state of attainment by taking energy in other ways. This is the advantage of Kundalini Yoga. But if energy is lost by someone who is not a reachable person, there is indeed a danger of death for them. When practicing Kundalini Yoga, asceticism is also required to protect oneself from energy leakage. After reaching Kundalini Yoga, one moves on to the next process, Jainana Yoga. I'm going to talk about this process very briefly, because we are going to talk about Jainana Yoga in the next video. If one achieves perfection in Jainana Yoga, by analyzing one's own state correctly, he is able to destroy karma even if he accepts someone else's karma. That is why he can return to his former state even if he has given Shaktipat or practiced Shakti Prayoga. He can do this because due to perfection in Kundalini Yoga his energy loss will be negligible. The only problem for him will be karma clogging the energy channels. So by destroying this karma he will be able to return to his former state. The importance of commitment, merit, and the practice of truth. Let me talk more about Kundalini Yoga, the main topic of today's video. First of all, consider what it takes to practice Kundalini Yoga. First, a commitment to the Guru, although this is necessary in all yogas. But for Kundalini Yoga, devotion is especially important, along with merit and the practice of truth. Why is devotion, merit, and the practice of truth necessary? When practicing Kundalini Yoga, one may automatically go to astral or causal worlds without even realizing it. He will go to these worlds if the energy rises. But what happens if he has no commitment or merit? He will find himself in a devilish state. There are different astral worlds, dirty and beautiful, horrible and pleasant. There are also different worlds in the causal world, dirty and beautiful, horrible and pleasant. If we fly to these worlds without commitment or merit, we will immediately lose our mental equilibrium because we will constantly be going to the horrible worlds. To go to the good worlds, to fly to the high worlds, you have to have merit, as I said before. One has to have commitment. One has to practice the truth. Okay? So, what's important in the practice of Kundalini Yoga is whether one can perfectly visualize the image of Guru, commitment, whether one can accumulate virtues, merit, and whether one is grounded in the teachings of truth, practice of truth. Moreover, if your goal is big chariot, after Kundalini Yoga you need jainana yoga anyway, which allows you to analyze your state correctly. Difference between small and big chariot. Now I would like to mention the difference between little and big chariot. A lesser chariot practitioner can enter nirvana if he attains at least one of the yogas, be it Raja Yoga, Kundalini Yoga or Jainana Yoga. If he achieves one of these three yogas, he can enter nirvana. Why can I say that? The practitioner of the little chariot denies everything. This world is filthy, everything is evil, everything is suffering. That is how he denies everything. So what happens in this case? This world appears to him as an illusion. Eventually he may enter nirvana. But if, as a result of some event, his denial is at least partially destroyed, he becomes incapable of entering nirvana. Even after reaching nirvana, he will be forced to descend again into this world of phenomena. The big chariot is completely different from the small chariot. Not only does a person not deny people, on the contrary, he has to meet them. And he has to accept their karma. For this he needs supernatural divine abilities. He also needs a strong energy. By accepting other people's karma, he has to destroy it by analyzing his own condition. Thus he needs to create a state in which he will be able to cope with everything. And for that, as you understand, he needs both Raja Yoga and Kundalini Yoga, and Jainana Yoga. So the system of practice and the way of life will be different depending on which way one chooses, big or small chariot. Therefore, for those who practice Mahayana Yoga, to a certain extent, pleasures are permitted in this world, because one cannot practice the practice of the big chariot while being unable to resist some amount of stimulation. But people who practice the lesser chariot do not recognize such things at all. They practice total denial, maintain the level they have reached, and wait for their lives to end. Or they discard their physical body. There are only two ways. You are free to decide which one to choose, the big chariot or the small chariot. But I want you to choose your own path by understanding what I have told you today, namely the difference between the small and big chariot and the particularities of Kundalini Yoga. The beginning of real salvation. The process of analysis culminates in Jainana Yoga. At this stage, a person is completely unaffected by his own karma. And then he naturally has a question. What is the difference between me and others? In order to overcome the distinction between oneself and others, he turns to Mahayana Yoga, which is based on the four great unmeasurable states of the soul. From this point the real salvation begins.